anak ng asawa ko. Pinasok nila doon sa iskinita, pinagbabaril nila. Iniwan nila.
The Philippines drug problem, hitmen, dealers, and Duterte's war on addicts is a multimedia piece by AJ Plus that was published last year. Mark Oltmann is here to tell us about his experience with that project and being the man behind the camera.
It was me and a good friend and colleague, Jason Motlagh. We kind of got together and knew that they had been working on kind of gun violence stories in the U.S. A couple thousand people had already been killed, and they didn't want to include it as a part of their gun series in America, but they were interested in the story. I mean, the pitch and approval came together pretty quickly, probably about 10 days. We knew we were working on a pretty tight timeline because we just didn't know when or if the situation was going to change, so we were eager to get out there and get on the ground. And we arrived there, I think, in late September, and we're on the ground for about 10 days. On the ground, it was me and the producer-host, Jason, and then we had a fixer in the Philippines who also served as a translator. So on the ground, there were three. On the AJ Plus part, there was an in-house editor and a senior producer who we were kind of actively involved with in the post-production. The most difficult thing was early on in producing the story on the ground. I think within the first 48 hours, we had gotten zero sleep. We just kind of hit the ground running, and one thing just kind of rolled into the other. We were working nights, kind of going from crime scene to crime scene, and by day we were doing all of our interviews. And so those first 2 days, we got all this material, probably some 80% of the material that we needed even just to complete the doc. And I think we realized we had a lot more than we thought we were going to get going in. And at that point, we kind of thought it would be good to edit the piece ourselves, just because we felt so familiar with the subject matter, and we felt like we kind of had a vision for what we wanted to do with the piece. And reasonably, we ran into some friction from AJ Plus in terms of they kind of already had the infrastructure and the budget set up for one of their in-house editors to take over the piece. And so just kind of mitigating those differences and trying to still have the piece feel like it was being true to the vision we had out there was a compromise. And I think if we had gone into it knowing that we were going to edit the piece from the beginning, that would have saved everyone a lot of kind of heartache. And in the end, that just ended up being a pretty big challenge to deal with, not being able to kind of have the piece look and feel exactly how we had envisioned. The biggest takeaway from that is this is something that you're really passionate about, and it's a piece that you really feel, and you don't kind of know the team that's going to be working on it in post. It's probably better if you have the skills and the interest to edit the story yourself. The editor has a lot of control in shaping the story, and you may have shot something in a certain way. The editor can take that footage and see it in a completely different light, and sometimes that's for the better, and sometimes that's for the worse. And for this case, at least in my opinion, I thought it was for the worse. I think multimedia, or the video aspect of this story, just offers one more angle that they can't do with print. The video allows viewers to see for themselves what that whole awful scene kind of looks like and what that experience is, and the looks on people's faces when they're confronted with a neighbor or loved one that's dead on the street in front of them because of this drug war. A small 7-year-old child who was up at midnight watching police clean up a bloody crime scene. Just words can only do so much to paint that picture, and when you're able to see that yourself through the lens of a camera, I think it changes how you kind of relate to that issue and how you understand it. For me, in terms of camera gear, unfortunately, it's always changing. Right now, today, I go back and forth between a C300 and a Sony FS7. And for a piece like that, we were trying to be pretty nimble on the ground, and so we didn't have a big light set up or anything like that. In terms of the editing, I know AJ Plus uses Premiere. I myself have used both Premiere and Final Cut X, and kind of go back and forth between those two. Yeah, one piece of advice is kind of really knowing what's the best medium for the story that you're trying to do. You know, not every story merits a multimedia aspect. If it is going to be a multimedia, you know, you have to choose what's the best medium to capture that story. It's hard to watch a video when it doesn't have any visual aspects to it, and I think it just works a lot better if it's print piece, then let it be a print piece. But if you think about it and there's a good visual element to it, that's when it would merit kind of bringing out the camera and getting some video of it.